Hey everybody, this week on Up Your Alley, we're going to talk about Jake's recommendation for me, the new Netflix movie Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, as well as my recommendation for Jake, the new series on Max, Conan O'Brien Must Go. We're going to talk about some video game news. The internet has solved a 3-year-old mystery, plus some more stuff we're going to talk about. Oh, some live stand-up comedy we saw. Jake, you got anything to add?
What is this ball?
Oh, I'll explain that in a little bit right after the riff. So that ball is something that I found down here in the basement. Yeah.
Wow.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Up Your Alley. My name is Taylor Edgar, and with me, as always, is my best friend, Jake Baggett. Say hi, Jake.
It looks like a tire that's turned into a ball.
Say hi, Jake.
And it says 10 pounds on it.
And then we say hi, Jake.
Hey, buddy.
Hey. This is how the show works. Jake and I are best friends, and like any friendship, we always like to recommend things to each other. But now we get a chance to force the other person to watch, read, or listen to our recommendation. We do it every week. We give it a score between 1 and 3, depending on how much that recommendation was up our individual alleys. This week, like I said, Rebel Moon Part 2, Netflix. Big block can't really be a blockbuster if it's on streaming,
just a
right?
Netflix movie.
Yeah, just something they put out. Someone clicked upload.
Next Zack Snyder Netflix movie.
And also the Max travel show, Conan O'Brien Must Go, the newest thing from Conan O'Brien.
The blockbuster.
That's the blockbuster. The streaming travel show gets qualified as I'll give it that 100%. So the ball, it's a medicine ball. I found it down here, and it looks like a kickball.
Yeah, it does.
It's not. It's a
but
10
it's very
pound,
heavy.
Well, it's not very heavy. It's a 10-pound medicine ball. So I've been taking it down here, and like while I'm playing Helldivers, I'll just show you right now. So take this.
He takes it.
And you take it, and then like while I'm waiting for things to load, you just go like this.
Oh, hell yeah.
Do one of those, and then you go back like this.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then you catch it and go like, so I'm just getting my little Helldivers.
You gotta get yourself some pecs going. I like it.
I'm going to be a shoulder man.
You're going to be a shoulder guy.
A shoulderman.
So that way suits drape nicely on your frame.
Right? Mm-hmm. I want to get one of those like loose neck shirts like The Rock wears, and then just like it starts at like the edge of his shoulders, and then it's just mountains. I've been watching like wrestling highlights of him. It's fantastic.
Man, you chose the wrong wrestler. Everybody's off of Rock now.
Well, I'm watching I guess his highlights, modern highlights. I'm not back into it, but just the fact that he's back into the WWE it's just great. He's quite the showman.
He's losing his spotlight, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He was in the recording studio posting
he's upset that Dave Bautista is making good movies and he's not making good movies.
That's true. Or that John Cena had a more successful DC property than he did.
And John Cena also is a better wrestler, and John Cena is also a funnier person.
John Cena is great. Did you watch his the Ricky Stenicki? No, you did not.
Maybe we will be watching Ricky Stenicki.
I'm interested in that because I have started it, but I have not finished it. But we'll talk about that later. So, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah, video games. You recommended a video game to me when we went and saw a stand-up comedy show. We should talk about that first. We went and saw a stand-up comedy show a couple days ago for us. It'll be last week by the time this comes out. Comedian Ari Shaffir recording his special.
We did see that.
This was at the Capitol Turnaround, a venue neither of us had been to in D.C.
No.
Awesome.
But it was a great venue.
Such a cool venue.
Like, it was bottlenecked when getting out, but everything else was fantastic.
Well, yeah, it was a one in, one out because they were filming, so I feel like the other exits were probably taken up by like crews and stuff that were working. It was a whole production.
Very true.
Local comic opened up, Joey Friedman. She was hilarious.
Very true. I liked her a lot.
And then followed by Daniel Stevenson? No.
Something more Norwegian.
Yeah, a Norwegian comic from New York.
Yeah.
Also very funny. Deadpan delivery and stuff like that.
Also very, very funny.
Yeah, and then
Ari Shaffir started.
Ari Shaffir recorded his special.
And I would say he was about 20% funny.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I like Ari Shaffir a lot. I like his previous special a lot. Daniel Simonson is his name.
Yes, that's
and this was one of 4 shows that he filmed. I feel like the crowd was a little bit off.
Yeah.
I feel like that could play into a performance as well. I'm still very curious at this new special to see how it gets edited together, because it's kind of fun to see like the behind. And obviously, we're not going to talk about any specific jokes because that's a shitty thing to do to a comic who spent a lot of money to. Even though it's not like we're a big news podcast or anything like that, but just to put out anything onto the internet for something that someone's waiting for. The whole point of comedy is if you know it, it's ruined.
Sure, I
So-
get what you mean.
And I'm not going to do that to any kind of artist. Not either of our favorite performer of the night.
No.
But, I mean...
And also, I really just did not like it.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was a good performance.
And it's subjective. But here's the lesson
It
to
is
everybody.
subjective.
If you're at a thing and it's not for you, there's no reason to stand up or make yourself a part of the show or even to storm out and...
I mean, yeah, I had a great night.
Yeah, we had fun.
And there was stuff that I was not a fan of.
Right.
But I just, it's not going to help anything to be like...
Exactly.
Not funny.
Exactly.
No.
And I was on Reddit and looked at some other shows. Someone said that the Friday night show, some people were drunk and rowdy throughout the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah.
I do feel bad about that.
Right.
You don't deserve that.
I mean, yeah, people. You shouldn't have
I just
shitty
think
people.
Ari Shafir's just...
But it
he's
could-
definitely not my style.
Here-
And I just do not think that there's any bridge that we could... A gap that we could bridge to get me to enjoy him.
With that material, I could see that. But
Yeah.
just like anything else, seeing a comedian live is like seeing a band live. There's some bands that are great live, make shit albums, and vice versa. There's some people that are great, and musicians that are great in the studio. Like, they couldn't do Sgt. Pepper live. The
No.
Beatles needed to do that in a studio. Doesn't mean they're not good musicians because they couldn't take it on the road.
Yeah, sure.
Ari Shafir's a great podcaster, good interview. He's a traveler, and he's just an interesting guy. But sometimes you put in the same person in a different context.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody.
I did not pick up on any of that.
Well, you don't
Yeah.
have as much experience to him. As
Right.
I do.
And
Yeah.
I just... After that show, I have no interest in his insight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you do, more power to you.
Yeah.
But I was just like, this guy does not interest me
I still will recommend his
as a person.
previous YouTube special, Jew, which
Yeah.
is a lot to do with his upbringing, being raised Orthodox Jewish and going to school to be a rabbi and everything like that. It's a very interesting, unique, nuanced take.
Yeah.
Which is not something we got a lot of off this new set, I feel like. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, we still had fun. More power to him.
We
I
definitely
hope,
had more fun.
hope everything works out. I don't wish ill on anybody.
No.
But
absolutely
then
not.
you had mentioned on the train that you were playing a game called, what's it called?
Another Crab's Treasure.
Another Crab's Treasure.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember how you described it to me?
You play a crab who gets his house repossessed,
Yeah.
and then you have to go and get your house back
Right.
from the queen.
You did a bad job selling it. Like, I
Yeah.
bought it and I downloaded it just because I'm looking for something to do between my shoulder workouts and Helldivers.
Yeah.
So it's if they made a Souls game
Yeah.
like Banjo-Kazooie.
Sure. A little more platformy,
which you know is my favorite video game.
and it's very colorful.
It's the colorful. It's the way the characters talk to each other. It's almost directly Banjo-Kazooie, like the little thought bubble and then like the big crab sounds different than the little crab, everything like that. But it does have a Souls-like gameplay. Parries, timings, like a couple
Yeah.
hits and you're done. The respawn location. It's an interesting take on that kind of game,
Slow, methodical combat that's very enjoyable.
which is
And a
antithetical to most platformers where you're like, I'm going to try to go as fast as I can. There's something I'm going to, like Mario 64, you're triple jumping and stomping on Goombas and whatnot. But this is, like you said, slow and thoughtful.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's a great game. I'm
Yeah.
really enjoying it.
I'm happy you picked it up.
It's very
enjoy
hard
it too.
on the standard difficulty.
My goodness, I get beat a lot. But
Yeah.
like that's half the fun. I like that you start off right next to the boss,
Uh-huh.
so I don't have to trek that much at all.
Yeah.
So it's just all right, try again.
I have gotten past the first, I think, 2 mini bosses and the first main boss.
Nice.
But I have messed with the settings. Have you messed with the settings at all?
Did you put it on easy mode, did you?
So, have you been into the settings?
Oh no, I know about easy mode though.
Well, no, the setting. Okay, so in the settings, the gameplay settings, it's not just a flat difficulty.
Yeah.
Like easy, medium, hard, very hard, extreme, whatever. Your Give Me God of War equivalent.
Yeah.
It has, you can toggle the parry window, which is nice. You could toggle how much damage you give, how much damage you receive. And then at the very bottom, there's a toggle. Your character's name is Krill. It just says, give Krill a gun.
Yeah. Did you give Krill a gun?
When you see that
Yeah.
option on the bottom of the thing, you have to
I
click
love
it.
that it's comically huge
Yes.
on him.
Yeah, and it's so he's a hermit crab, and so his shell just becomes the gun, and he sticks his body into where you would put the ammo clip, and then he could just shoot the gun underwater.
Yeah.
Makes no sense, but the fact that that's added into the game is hilarious. It gave me that aspect of it and some of the humor.
That's their easy mode.
Yeah, I guess closer
great.
closer than Banjo-Kazooie, I would put it to like Souls-like in the Conker's Bad Fur Day universe. Because it's funny, it's well written.
Yeah, it's really well written. I
Like
enjoy that one of the antagonists is one of those toys with a shark head at the end and a trigger.
Those little things you get at a carnival and go,
yeah.
Bah, 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 bah.
Yeah. That's really fun.
Yeah, it's adorable.
Yeah.
And it's a very fun game. I think it's very unique. What's the developer of that?
That's called Aggro Crab.
Aggro Crab. That's
The
right.
Aggro Crag.
But the humor is great because like some of the humor the puns are so bad that they're good. Like you'll say like holy shell instead of holy shit.
Shuck type stuff. Yeah.
Like you would with oysters.
I would suggest
They're very
playing
nautical puns.
their other game, Going Under.
Yeah.
That game is also really good.
Is that on consoles as well?
Yes.
I have to check that out because if it's anything like this, the humor and stuff like that, it's
The humor is on point.
Yeah.
And it's making fun of corporate tech startups. And it does a really good job doing that. They have little gremlins that run the tech companies, and you go and fight and defeat them to get special items.
It's fantastic.
For your tech company.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's a really good game.
So Going Under is the other one. Yeah, both of those are huge recommendations, and I actually was playing some video games, and I might have a little recommendation for you coming up later.
Video game style.
Nah, it's a multimedia recommendation for you this week.
Holy.
Before, we do have to get into my favorite story of the week. So this was something that had been brought to my attention a couple years ago, like kind of when it started. Are you familiar with the lost wave phenomenon on the internet?
Lost wave.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I know what you speak of.
Yeah.
It's a noise. It's music.
No. So, a wave is. Yeah.
Yes.
So the lost wave is just kind of a catch-all term. So sometimes when people are going back through digital data, they'll find snippets of an audio file. And like, I don't know what that is. It might be a sound effect, anything like that, but it's just one of those things that has become digital trash, basically. So this came up in the whole basic thing is called Everyone Knows That. And there's a subreddit to it, r/Everyone Knows That. And so what happens is that there was a mystery song, also known as Ulterior Motives. Everyone knows that is the only thing that it really was called for a while. Yeah. It's a previously unidentified pop song snippet that became significant internet phenomenon when a user named Carl92 uploaded a 17-second audio clip of a song to the What's That Song website, which is just an audio identification thing, just for these lost waves and stuff. He says he found it on the backup of an old DVD, and everyone listened to it because it was characterized by an 80s pop style. No one knew where it was from. They said it sounds like an 80s pop song.
It sounds good.
No, well, here, I have the recording. I actually have it saved on this. So I want you to hear it. So he had a 17-second clip. The whole thing is this guy, Carl92. Says, I found it on a DVD file. Does anyone know who this band is? And like a lot of 80s songs, it kind of sounds similar.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, is it this band or is it an unreleased thing? And it's in English. So here's the clip, if I got this right. So that's the whole clip.
That's enjoyable.
Yeah. So it was uploaded to What's That Song in 2021 by Carl92. And he's like, does anyone know what this is? I found it on an old DVD copy, so he's assuming that it was on something, like from a movie or a TV show or something like that. And so for 3 years, everyone's been chiming in, trying to find out what the hell this song was. Because it's clearly a produced song, and then there's all the people saying it was a hoax, like he was kind of, trolling and doing everything like that. But this whole subreddit came around it. Anyway, yesterday, as of recording, it had been officially found.
Great.
You want to know where it was found?
Sure.
So, this is coming from... I just love where this was found. This is coming from Redditor OneTruth5867. He was watching an old vintage porn.
Yeah, as you do.
And he said... This song sounds very familiar.
It was a theme song to a porno.
Don't get ahead of me. It sounds very familiar to that song. So there were two people that were credited with the filming of this, or the music in this porno. Christopher St. Booth and Philip Adrian Booth. And then he says, I remember those names. He went through the BMI, which is like the music index of everything. Everyone's, copyright claim. yada, yada, yada. And he's like, these guys do porn music. We, as the Reddit community, never thought to look at porn.
Yeah.
So basically, Bonfires of Gondor went out. Hey, guys, start looking at porn from the 80s.
Okay.
So everyone went through as much 80s vintage porn as they could. And it was finally found on the 1986 pornographic film Angels of Passion.
Sounds like a good movie.
I mean, it sounds like a 1986 pornographic film.
Yeah.
So that's now the running meme that everyone was looking for it for so long. And this guy, Carl92, is saying, I found it on like some DVD stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know which DVDs it could have, because everyone's like, well, what DVDs did you scan? Maybe that would be, and he's like, oh, just a collection of old stuff. The guy was too embarrassed to admit that he had this gigantic data catalog of vintage porn.
Why is that embarrassing? That's great.
I think it's hilarious. I know. Because wouldn't that be a dead giveaway? If you tell that, like, as soon as the internet thought, hey, this might be porn, it was found within 24 hours. Yeah. So it was a 3-year mystery of all these nerds banging their heads against the wall.
You know I collect vintage porn, right?
That's why I thought this story was so far for you.
I believe every single one of them came with a soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a CD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was because they were actual, like, you're selling, it's not just watching clips on the internet. It was, you're selling someone a tape. You had to make sure it was, the production quality was good.
Produced.
Yeah.
There were producers.
Yeah.
There were key grips.
Christopher Scott Booth wrote the music for it, and he wrote a song called Ulterior Motives for Angels of Passion.
That's great.
And I gotta say, it's kind of a great song.
Yeah.
I'm a little bummed we already have a theme song for the podcast.
Why? You want to take this?
I love it so much. Because it was just one of those things for me that kind of just came and went on internet culture, and I was just like, oh, that's kind of fun. No one knows who that is, and then forgot about it. And then when I saw
So you knew about this 3 years ago, too?
Yeah. Because it just popped up on, like, front page of Reddit. You know, it was one of those internet stories that came and went. It was, like, front page, and then someone started this subreddit, and then it was just kind of out of the zeitgeist. There's only, like, 50,000 people subbed in the subreddit, but it's not active, like, at all. It was a front page of Reddit story during the pandemic in 2021.
I have not been on Reddit in years and years and years.
Well, Reddit's great. But it was just a fun mystery for a minute. And now the internet solved it again. I was like, oh,
there you go.
Good for the internet.
Everybody always looks down at vintage porno until it comes in and gives you a song that you really enjoy.
And shout out for this popping up in the feed of Jason Parjan, former writer of Cracked and everything. As much as we love the Cracked people, he's the one that pointed this out, that it had been solved. And I was like, oh, shit, I do remember this. This is one of the coolest stories ever. I'm so happy about it. All right, well, what was the other thing we were going to talk about?
You want to talk about Stellar Blade?
Oh, yeah. The other game you told me about, Stellar Blade.
Yeah.
This kind of goes with pornography.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
And video games. It's a nice little collection of everything. So Stellar Blade's a game you were telling me about.
Yeah.
And there's a hubbub about it. I just saw a Kotaku article. And the Kotaku article is very much read like everyone's upset about this game.
Right.
And it needs to be censored. Which I took at face value because I don't know anything about the game. Apparently the game, your character is... pretty
You're
lady.
a bodacious babe.
Right. Killing things with big swords and killing monsters and whatnot. Video game stuff. Mm-hmm. And it read like, the article read like there was a big uproar about it. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I brought it up to you before we started recording, you're like, it's all fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a fake outrage. It was like, so you can dress her up, of course. And they had a swimsuit that was... It's on the game itself, but it's a little too revealing. Right. So they patched it and made it less revealing. And there's a guy on on X. He goes by Grumz, Grummz. He's in his mid 40s. He used to be a video game developer, but now he just grifts. And one of his grifts now is to create outrage about Stellar Blade. First, it was that.
So does he, real quick, does he do a lot of games, or is it this like his first?
He hasn't done a game.
Fake outrage.
There's no evidence that he's done a game, actually.
Okay.
He takes credit for giving World of Warcraft Classic its servers back. No.
Is he like known as a video game, like someone that writes about video games?
He doesn't write. He develops in air quotes.
Okay.
He opens up a new game. He gets kickstarted. And then he's like, I'm just going to need a little bit more. And then it just keeps kicking the can down the road.
So he's a real grifter.
Yes, he's an actual grifter. Oh. Like he is somebody who's allegedly, he's somebody who takes people's money and he doesn't make a product for 7 years. But his original thing was nobody's going to give Stellar Blade good reviews because it's too sexy, and the woke mob don't want sexy ladies in their games anymore. And then the game comes out, and everybody gives it 8s out of 10s and stuff, saying that this game is great, but the story's really dumb, but the gameplay is fantastic. And now it's we have to change Discord around to now they're censoring it to make it so that we want it. So we started a petition to get 1,000 signatures from real gamers who are going to say that we want our scantily clad swimsuit back. There you go.
Jesus.
So it's just, it's just news. It's just a news thing.
So it's just fake outrage about a video game.
Well,
and also, 1,000 signatures is nothing.
Yeah, it's this guy picking up, dust. Just kicking up dust so that he can get
enough
attention.
dust if it comes across my desk. I mean, it has to be like breaking news about vintage porno songs for it to get to me. Normally, it's not recent video game news.
There's always been, because the discourse is going back to the representation in video games, and we're back to where we were like years ago, where people are like, you're just shooing in, minorities, and you're just doing these things to present, multiculturalism, and you're just trying to appease women, and it's not helping the real gamers. And it's like, I love sexy video games probably more so than the next guy. But
that's fair. Yeah, that's fair to say.
Exactly. And so if somebody wants to make a sexy video game, I'm probably going to buy it. If somebody's like, I made a swimsuit that's way too sexy, so I'm going to calm it down a little bit, I'm going to be like, okay, like, it's your game.
Yeah.
You did a good job making a game. So it's
good game, though.
It's a good game. Yeah. It's really fun. I'm having a great time playing it.
No.
But it's just, people don't understand how to have a good discourse about this type of stuff. And
That's
it
fair.
gets me upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just like,
it's a bummer.
Enjoy the game.
It's a real bummer.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for the news.
You could see her vulva, and they were like, you can't have that in a game.
I don't think
so. They patched it out. Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, it does. I agree with this.
Yes.
So, on that note, I'm usually pretty good at coming up with segues, but I am at a loss.
Speaking of vulva, there was a gaping hole in our movie choice this week.
No, I want to talk about my recommendation first.
Damn it!
Because for your recommendation, I have notes and a fun game I want to play. Since you recommended this,
I know.
So
it's going to be on air. Your score for Rebel Moon 2.
Yeah, I gave my score for Rebel Moon 1, A Child of Fire.
Well, you gave it to me. No, remember when you said that it's the person that's reviewing it, their score
you
is
can't
the one
make
that goes
me
up.
remember things that I said.
There it is.
That's not fair.
There it is, sir.
All right, I see the game you're playing. But let's talk about Conan O'Brien Must Go first.
Yeah, sure.
So this is a show. It's Conan O'Brien. Everyone knows who Conan O'Brien is. It's available to stream on Max. This was a recommendation for Jake because it was quick and easy. I knew it was going to be 3. Jake, you can just go ahead and say it's a 3.
It's a 3.
Of course, it's a 3. We're playing catch up a little bit with these 2 recommendations from All Affleck April. This will be the first show in May, so we finally get to go back to some of the April stuff that I would have recommended for Jake. Conan O'Brien, I'll say it. I think he's one of the funniest people, definitely in the top 5 people working today. Possibly one of the funniest people to ever live.
I'd have to agree.
His sense of timing, his ability to go for the joke and commit to a joke,
his ability to get out of the way of a good joke,
and also
incredible.
To just be 60 years old and still be as vibrant and spry as he is. It's unparalleled. So this is kind of a successor to a show he had on TBS called Conan Without Borders, which kind of took over after his show Conan. Because he's just been trying to do new things, basically. He was on obviously, he was the host of Late Night. Then he had The Tonight Show for a minute. Then he went to TBS. And then TBS got shortened to a different kind of show. But all those shows are kind of not doing great, I would imagine. I don't know anyone who stays up to watch...
any late night television?
Any late night show. I watch Seth Meyers on my phone the next day.
Yeah.
Like while I'm getting ready in the morning.
I haven't seen.
If I met someone and they're like, "Oh no, I got to stay up till 12:30 because Sydney Sweeney's on Fallon," I'm going to be like, "What's wrong with you? Like, who hurt you that you feel you need to do this now?" Yeah. But I mean, that's just me.
Too late.
And also, I don't know if for a generation that still watches live TV, I don't know Jimmy Fallon's their target demographic.
Yeah.
I just don't know who those shows are for anymore. So Conan, being the oldest out of that group, he kind of did what David Letterman did. David Letterman now has more of an interview show. My next guest needs no introduction, where it's just one-on-one interviews. He has one coming out with John Mulaney tomorrow, as of recording this. Oh. So by the time this comes out, that'll be available on Netflix. And Conan is doing more travel, which whenever he did remotes on any of his shows were always the best. He had a long-running series where he would travel with one of his producers, Jordan Schlansky, who makes an appearance in this show, who is one of the funniest, unfunny people ever.
They play off each other so well.
Yes. And everyone should just type in Jordan Schlansky into YouTube with Conan. Anything that has the two of them on screen at the same time is comic gold. And he shows up in this when they go to Argentina. The 4 episodes, they're Norway, Argentina, Thailand, and Ireland.
Yeah.
Ireland, obviously, that's what Conan, it's a season finale. That's Conan going back. He actually finds a genealogy person, says, this is the farm where your great-grandfather lived.
Yeah.
And Conan goes back there, and it's a nice little moment. The whole point of the show is Conan's going to visit people that are fans of his podcast.
Yeah.
Jake, what'd you think?
I'm upset that it's only 4 episodes.
Could have been more.
I would have loved it if it was more.
I could watch him go to every country on the planet.
I'm telling you, it was so captivating from the first episode.
Yeah.
Where, what was that one?
Norway.
Yes, it was Norway. Mm-hmm. Where the ending, if I can spoil it.
I mean, it's a travel show. Yeah.
One of the guys that he hangs out with, he goes out on a fishing boat with, and they go out, farm fish for a little bit.
Yeah, it was a guy that called in Conan's podcast, Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, and he does things where he talks to fans, and this guy's like, I'm a fisherman in Norway.
Yeah. And then they go to a party afterwards, and the guy at the end, the guy calls in with a video call, and it says, hey, Conan, just calling you to say that when we were at that party, there was a girl that I knew there for a few months, and you just told me to go up and talk to her, so I did, and I just want you to know that we're expecting our first child.
Exactly.
Thank you, Conan. I was like, oh, this is what he is. He's so great.
He's a force for if we were doing an alignment chart, you know what I mean? I would put Conan at chaotic good.
Yeah.
Like,
he shows up and he makes you feel so much better.
And here's the genius thing about Conan O'Brien. One, he's been in comedy my entire life. He wrote the damn monorail episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
As long as I've been conscious, Conan O'Brien's been producing comedy.
Yeah.
He was I think a lot of people, Gen X people and people a little bit older than this, they remember like subversive David Letterman when he came out. And by the time I was able to know like about late night stuff, Letterman was more, he was the norm. Yeah. Like he was an established thing. And Conan was the one that was doing weird, crazy stuff when he would have like Triumph the Insult Comic Dog. And I remember seeing that shit I stayed up late for. Mm-hmm. And that goes back to my previous point. I would stay up late and watch a Conan thing. Like if I found out the guys that did South Park are going to be on Conan, I'll stay up and watch that.
Yeah.
I don't think any 12-year-olds are staying up to watch Stephen Colbert.
I'll watch it tomorrow.
Yeah, on their phone, like a normal person. But since Conan's been doing all this, and he's so famous to me, obviously, seeing him go to places in the world, and when he's in Argentina, he does have people that come up to him and like, oh, like that's the response he gets from most people. When Conan O'Brien's walking down a street in Thailand, anyone who knows him just comes up to him and says, "Why are you here?" But he's he's impossible to mistake for someone else.
Yeah.
No one's ever thought, hey, I think that's Conan O'Brien.
He has an incredible power, an aura about him.
Yeah.
Where he makes a situation so much more engaging and hilarious.
He's magnetic.
The Thailand episode, he went on the boats where you have shops and you're just on a boat.
The floating market.
Yes, the floating market. I wanted to do that. Mm-hmm. I always want to do that. I want to go to Thailand real bad. It looks great.
Yeah.
And he made it so much fun for everybody that was doing it. He found a stupid hat that he put on. He found a rubber chicken. So for half of the ride, he's just sitting there squeezing the rubber chicken at everybody that's going by. he stops at a place and they're like, what do you want? He's like, the fan, the big fan. And it's the biggest fan that's there. And he's just pantomiming, just going, ooh, with it.
Just goes to show when you give a funny person a budget.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it could be
a black phallus and he just picks it up. He's like, I must have this.
With no response as to why they were selling that.
And they're like, yes, you have to wrap it. Yes, I cannot be seen with this.
And for
there's children here.
Yeah. And so there's someone that has a story of, I was in Thailand and I think I saw Conan O'Brien on a boat. And I'm pretty sure he had a big plastic penis.
A fan that had a t-shirt from when he went and saw Conan 17 years ago.
Right. And they were able to pull up a clip from late night.
Yeah. And find him. And he's like, I can't help but notice you're not laughing at my skit here. He's like, could you go ahead and give me the laughs that you owe me now? And the guy just, he's like, that's fake laughter. I love it.
And in the Norway episode, his first fan that he talked to was in a band.
Yes.
And he meets the guy, and just immediately his remote shots when he walks into someone's place, he was, very critical. Like, he goes for the joke immediately. When he goes into Argentina, he starts making fun of the guy's kids. Like, he starts accusing one of the kids of being a serial killer.
Yeah.
It's hysterical. And it's never, he never seems like he's punching down.
No.
Like, he's just always makes himself the butt of the joke, which, like we mentioned briefly last week, you said you watched him on Hot Ones. He makes himself the joke.
Yeah.
Always. And when he's in Norway, he goes and meets the guy that's in a band, and he's like, hey, we're going to record a song.
Yeah.
And I'm going to help. That band is, I just had it pulled up, Norwegian rap duo EDA.
Yeah.
And you could listen to their song, it's like called Willkommen der Kluben or something like that.
Is Conan's voice actually on it?
Yeah, it's on Spotify.
That's so good.
And
I'm looking at the Ford.
He goes and visits a fan in Argentina, and he's like, I'm a radio host. And it's like, how many listeners do you have? And he's like, 4.
Yeah.
On a good day, 5.
Yeah.
And it's famous comedian Conan O'Brien. He's like, I will be on your show.
Yeah.
It's incredibly captivating television. I don't think there's many personalities.
Just let me see more Conan. You're right. I wouldn't watch this if you didn't put it on the podcast.
It wasn't
for me to do.
It wasn't heavily advertised either.
Well,
like he did the
I knew about it from Hot Ones.
Yeah.
That one gained a lot of traction.
Yeah,
but it's just something that I was like, it wasn't. I know Conan's great. I felt like I had my fill of him, but no, he's still great.
Yeah,
like I'm going to go listen to his podcast now. I'm going to go listen to all his stuff. I forgot that he's one of the greatest to ever do it.
One of the funniest people to ever live, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd have to say so. He's got a great interview with Scott Arkerman on Comedy Bang Bang, where they talk about when he was a kid, he was tasked with getting John Candy around town. And the first thing that they did was tell him, like, John Candy is going to want to stop and get something to eat. You cannot let him do that. His diet, he will get sick. And he says, John Candy comes out, he's like, hey, kid, how you doing? He's like, oh, look, they got donuts here. He's like, immediately, I'm like, oh, no, what do I do?
Yeah, I mean, I can't recommend it enough. I hope HBO gives, as much as HBO is canceling things for tax reasons, and I don't know how Hollywood accounting works anymore.
Yeah. Just let him do more.
Just let him do it.
This is so much fun.
Yeah.
I watched all of it in a day. I couldn't stop.
He has a mural painted in Argentina.
That mural is so good.
Him, Lionel Messi, and the Pope.
It's legitimate. It's called the Sons of Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's absurd.
The muralist is so talented.
Yeah.
So it was just, it's beautiful. This is what comedy is when it's at its most beautiful.
I think him being, the only person he's ever mean to is Jordan Schlansky, which is, it's when he could really get like the good zingers out.
Yeah.
And like when he meets one of his fans in Thailand, she had complained that her mother yells.
Yeah.
When she's on like Zoom calls and everything like that, 'cause she works from home, and the mother yells.
Yes.
Like she has a
She's
very
very loud,
aggressive yell. And then doesn't speak the language. Like she speaks a little bit of English.
Yeah.
He doesn't speak any Thai.
Yeah.
And just them talking to each other through the language barrier. He's such a character, like almost a caricature of a person. Yeah. He's almost like a living cartoon.
That's what he does. he clowns it up,
Yeah.
so that you know that he is a silly man,
Right.
And so when he has these opinions or these attacks about you, you don't take them seriously because you're like the silly man saying a silly thing.
And that's not to say that, if you're being funny, you can do whatever you want to people. No, but he's always he toes that line to where he's never making anyone he was going around a thing in Argentina, the Argentinian manners coach said, you always kiss people before you leave. And he gets up from a restaurant and kisses everyone
She tells
there.
him that when you're leaving a place, you have to kiss everybody.
Right. So he stands
even
up
the people that you don't know. So he's running up and down the restaurant sidewalk, kissing everybody.
And everyone's fine.
Yeah.
Because he's just that guy.
Well, one, it's Conan O'Brien, so a lot of people recognize him in there. Two, it's because it's the clown man doing something funny. This is fun. He's got such a great presence about him. I would love to be that type of presence around people. Mm-hmm. It would be perfect.
You got to be 6'4" and ridiculously
I just got to be skinny. I don't even think. All I think it is that if I was skinny, people would be like, "That's a really funny guy."
You got to be agile too.
And I got to shave my beard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Although Conan did rock a beard for a while, and looked pretty damn good with it.
That's very true.
Yeah.
But
second Conan O'Brien wreck after the Please Don't Destroy movie that he was in.
There was also great little skits in here that he worked in.
Yeah.
That work out really well.
Did the Lighthouse one in Ireland where it was... Did you ever see that movie with Willem Dafoe?
I love the Lighthouse. Oh, yeah.
That seems like it would be pretty far up your alley.
Oh, hell yeah.
I've never seen it, but...
It's great.
Yeah. Well,
can't recommend it enough.
Yeah.
But when he's walking around Ireland, he would look to the side and he'll see a lady, but it's clearly Conan in a wig. And it's just... He'll do that throughout Ireland. This stuff is great. It's
Can't
great.
Beat him. Can't beat him. I think he's one of the best to ever do it.
So absolutely it's a 3. Of course,
I liked him criticizing Jordan Slansky's pronunciation of the word tango.
Tango. When he goes to other people from Buenos Aires and they're saying, tango.
He's like, look at you, you idiot.
They're from here.
Yeah, he's the most affable, I'll watch him do anything.
Can't recommend it enough. Yeah. Put it on TV. You're going to have a great time.
Available stream on Max, and they're 4 45 to an hour episodes. But
half hour, I think, actually.
No, they're 45 minutes
real?
apiece.
Okay.
I think he's still in the mindset of blocking something out for television.
Yeah.
So he does an hour-long thing that's 44 minutes. Because, that's just how your brain works.
Good.
That's how your brain works.
That's good pacing.
Yeah. Yeah, nails it. Conan O'Brien Must Go on Max.
Yep.
Check it out. All right.
Absolutely one of the best.
Double 3s for that one. So...
Yes, sir.
Let's get to Jake's recommendation for me.
Yes, sir.
Rebel Moon.
I did this for you. I did this specifically for you.
As a reward for how good All Affleck April was?
As more of a preemptive strike.
Oh, shit.
So that I wouldn't have to worry every day, every week. Is this the day that he tells me to watch Rebel Moon?
Really?
Yep. I wanted to just say...
You would say, if there
was... Get it out of the way!
a good metaphor for it, I took all my flour and arranged it around a longhouse to keep the longhouse safe, because you would never want to destroy something as precious as flour, milled flour.
I mean, this is an excellent analogy, but it doesn't work in our situation.
Well, it makes sense because that's a well-known thing. It's of course, this spacefaring race would, they need flour.
Yeah.
They have all this technology.
They never say flour, they say they need grain.
They say flour.
They say grain all the time.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about Rebel Moon Part 2.
Fucking movie is about grain.
We'll talk about Jake. So, what did...
Yeah, go ahead.
I got notes. All right,
so
let's just dive right in. This could be full spoilers for Rebel Moon.
You were so excited for Rebel Moon. Okay. And so you got me to watch it. I wasn't excited. I don't like Zack Snyder films. If you like them, more power to you. That's fantastic. It's great to love things. It's great to enjoy things. I don't... That's fine. It's like pickles. You like them, that's great. I do not.
No.
So I was not looking forward to it. And I watched the first one, and it was bad. It was an actually bad movie.
Yes.
It was, oh, boy, was it boring.
I think I gave it a 2.
Man, I definitely gave it a 1.
You did give it a 1.
Yeah.
So this takes place right after Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire.
Yes, that's true.
Where
oh boy,
it picks up and it gives you a great...
I can already feel the rumblings.
It gives you a great narration. I told Jake at the end of last week's episode that I had watched the first 12 minutes of this and I turned it off.
Yeah.
Because I was like, all right, I can't stick it up. Because, full spoilers, I was never going to recommend this to you. I was hoping you were going to forget about it and literally not bring up how much I pushed Rebel Moon on you.
It's really enticing how much you thought that this was going to be.
Anthony Hopkins returns as Jimmy the Robot, and he gives his whole spiel, which is the backstory of the previous one. I played that for Jake, and I was like, he could be making all of this up, and I'm not sure.
He's listing off names
of places.
Names of people that you can't recall easily.
No. So Cora's back, and she's the Scargiver. She was also the Child of Fire, so she's all the names that come afterwards. And they're picking up where they left off. They're victorious. They thought they killed the bad guy. Turns out, at the beginning,
Noble.
He's back, and he's alive. Everything's going horribly. They're still going to come down and get the grain.
Noble's like, I'm going to come and get them.
But Cora thinks they're going to be safe because it's a rule. If your admiral dies, your ship has to go back to the Motherworld.
Yeah.
She's like, everything's fine. We're going to be good here. Mm-hmm. And then...
It's a very, very, very well played out scene because they're in the longhouse. And they're like, we killed the admiral. The dreadnought's going away. And everybody's like, yay, all right. And then a guy just comes in and he's like, you guys, dreadnought's coming in 5 days. Like, immediately.
So they rally together. This group of farmers, this dreadnought's coming to get their grain. So they will have food for their trip back to the Motherworld, which I guess they wouldn't have needed the grain to go back to the Motherworld if the admiral had died. Right?
I don't know why they needed the grain anymore.
For their trip back to the Motherworld.
But then they were like, we don't need the grain. We can just go straight to the Motherworld. What do you mean?
The reasons for this movie existing are sketchy.
Fine.
So let's get into my list. Full spoilers for Rebel Moon. We're gonna this, and my list is chronological, so it kind of goes through the plot.
I want to say nice things.
You want to go nice things?
Yes, I want to say nice things. The guy who plays Admiral Noble,
Ed Skrein,
is very fun to watch.
He's a good villain.
He's very fun to watch.
Yeah,
that was enticing.
Yeah,
that's more him would have been great. And then the lady that plays Nemesis, Bae Duna.
Yep.
I thought she was the best one out of everybody. I thought her acting was the best. Her character was literally just mysterious, and that's kind of it. But she played it with some humility.
I will say
it with some pain, and it was like you were doing a job of creating a character.
You know, while all these returning characters, while I was watching the first movie, I was thinking to myself, it would be really nice if all these characters could just have some time to sit around a table and go one by one and explain their backstory in very vague, but for some reason supposed to be concrete detail, so you understand all their motivation. The first movie didn't have anything like that. So in the second movie, there's a scene where they all sit around at a table and go around the room like it's a fucking AA meeting and tell their backstories about how they ended up on this moon.
The general is like, we gotta talk about why we're here now.
Yes.
The general, he stopped drinking in a big way.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's been like 2 or 3 days, and he is like, I'm never drinking again. I love these people.
Yeah, and that was a point. So, my first note. I forgot Cary Elwes played the Emperor.
Yep. As soon as he showed up, I was just like, hey, there's a beard on that guy.
Look at Cary Elwes.
He goes, no.
So there's a flashback to Cary Elwes, who was the Emperor. He gets murdered by Belisarius, who's the main bad guy who's not in it much, Cora's adopted father. So he takes over the Empire, all in the name of the slain king. They frame Cora for the murder. You get to see that where she's framed.
Yeah. She shoots the princess,
right,
and the princess utters the words before her shot, I forgive you.
Right. And then the princess gets shot. And Cora gets framed for this whole thing.
The beautiful light comes out of her.
So what was no.
The chorus, there's an orchestra.
That's what I want to talk about. No. Stop. It's not an orchestra. There's a string quartet wearing sack hoods that look like the Mask of Truth from Legend of Zelda Ocarina
Very
of Time.
true. Just a gigantic eye.
They're wearing regular tuxedos.
Yes, they
but a mask. And they have regular earth instruments. Traditional string quartet. You got a cello, a viola, 2 violins. And they're playing music while the Emperor's walking. I'm like, nice. The Emperor has his own little company. You know, it's like a band playing.
They were celebrating something.
It's when the Marine Corps band plays Hail to the Chief anytime the president walks into a big thing. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. They got a weird like kind of pseudo Eyes Wide Shut string quartet playing his theme song, his Hail to the Chief, Hail to the Emperor.
I picked it up quick. I was like, those guys are slaves. They don't want to be here.
No. Well, I mean, neither do the people playing Hail to the Chief. I mean,
but they're not slaves.
But it's the job. It's the job.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're there for.
I'm just saying I got why they had the hoods on.
Regardless. So they're playing, and then the murder takes over.
Yeah.
But in the background, the bands still play.
They make it blatantly apparent that they are playing the music that's getting tense,
right?
And
when
changing
Balisarius
with the mood
and Cora
of the room.
Turn on the Emperor. You see in the background, like the violins, they do this thing where they're just holding another, like, they're like you see their little bows going, and then when the music starts swelling, they're doing the big sweeps. And so I'm like,
just a wild choice.
Is this like musical improv, or were they given notes ahead of time? Be like, just so, all right, so this is when we're gonna kill the Emperor. So that needs to be a little bit sadder. And just so you know, when people are thinking about this later, it's going to be in slow motion. So you're going to have to be playing faster. So that way, when we slow it down, it matches pitch to the rest of this. And then we're going to frame Cora. So we need a big drop right there.
I think they
when she realized that we turned against it.
Like, when you hear a gunshot, play this. All right?
Like that's the cue.
Yeah.
It's like in
when the princess dies, play this.
In the 1812 overture, like where they have the cannons going off. You're like, oh, now we're doing this part of it. And they're still playing for that entire scene.
Yeah.
So that begs the question, is there an off-screen string quartet for most of these scenes?
Yeah. What's the bad guy's name?
Balisarius?
Yeah. Was he doing an accent? I couldn't tell because most of his...
I couldn't tell if he had that in the first one.
I couldn't tell you. And most of his lines in this one was him screaming.
I did have to watch this with the subtitles on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good whispering in that movie.
Moving on.
Let's move on.
I said the guns are like the guns from Mass Effect, and that's cool.
I like that the guns are drippy.
Yeah, the guns are drippy, and I have a note later. They have swords that the swords are like molten metal. Like it's not like a blaster.
Hot. Yeah,
it's not like a blaster bolt that like hits and then it just leaves like a little burn hole. Like these lasers like melt things. Like you remember the scene in Episode 1 where Qui-Gon sticks his lightsaber through the door to try to open it up and it gets that like the droopy metal?
Yeah.
That's what everything does in this universe. And I really like some of those design choices.
It looks cool. Yeah.
Like the swords when they're fighting and then Cora touches the sword at one point and it's wicked hot. It's like, yeah, it's a fucking heat up sword. Like it's a fire sword. You saw Nemesis with it. She had like 2 fire swords.
Yeah.
Gets hot as shit. That's why she's got robot arms. I forgot she had robot arms until they made a big deal in her AA backstory.
I didn't know that she got them because she wanted them, not because she needed them.
So there's a scene with Cora and her love interest where, and it was such an awkward cut.
Who knows who that guy is?
They took a place and they do the thing that they do in movies to let you know these 2 people just had sex, but we're not going to show you them having sex.
Yeah.
But it's such a smash cut from like the minute they kiss or like the millisecond that they kiss to smash cut to a different location. They're just laying down in a bed. Like there was no like slow motion swell or a dissolve, or like sometimes they'll do a shot in between where they'll like show them kissing and then they'll show the sun going down and then they'll show them like this. This is just smash cut from
There's a lot
kiss
of
to boom.
Wild cuts in this movie.
Yeah.
Because when somebody gets shot, sometimes you don't even see the person that they shot. They cut to it seconds later when he's mid-fall onto the ground.
Yeah.
And it's like, I remember hearing that Zack Snyder has an R-rated cut of this movie.
That's what I was going to bring up, yeah.
And it's just like, you made your movie worse so that you could maybe make a better one later.
And there's a way to show people getting shot where it's still PG-13. First of all, it doesn't matter if it's PG-13 or not if it's going to Netflix.
Why?
And then also, James Bond has been doing it for years. All of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies show people getting shot constantly. But
Star Wars shows people getting shot. You see stormtroopers fall down all the time.
But what I'm saying is, like he says, like if he's making that cut, why are you having the special effects go into something that you're going to cut? Did you ever see The Creator?
No.
Okay, so that movie, the budget was really low, but it looked really good because they had exactly what they were going to shoot and what specifically they needed for visual effects. So nothing was wasted. Sometimes there's a lot of bloat and then there's crunch and stuff in visual effects departments. It's like, we're going to do all these shots and then I'm going to make the cut after the effects are done. So either he wasted a lot of money on visual effects that got cut, or this is the way it was scripted.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards the former. that there's a bunch of stuff on the cutting room floor?
I don't know, because it took forever to get the Snyder cut of Justice League,
which was better. To be fair, it was better than the Joss Whedon version.
Sure,
Superman in a black suit, man. That's all I need. And next up, so they find out the Dreadnought's coming back. They have 5 days to harvest the wheat. Digimon Hansu says, we got to do it in a day because I got to train you guys to fight too. Then there's a slow
and
motion.
He gives it to you like the guy in Pawn Stars, where he's looking at you. And he's like, I know you're coming at me.
Gives him the Rick Harrison.
Yeah. He's like, I know you're coming at me, and you're saying 5 days, but we got to do it in one. We have no choice.
Let me get my expert down here. We're going to see if we can get all this wheat done in 1 day.
I've talked to my expert. He's saying 1 day is all we can do.
But then there's a slow motion wheat threshing montage.
Oh boy, I'm pretty sure it takes about half an hour for them to take care of that wheat. And also, they're surrounded by technology that tells me,
thank you. So
you don't have to scythe this thing.
Zack Snyder said that this is his universe that he created. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense. So they're able to travel the stars.
Yeah.
And then they come to this planet, and this planet is like a rural planet. So if you were hold on, if you were to tell me that this planet doesn't have that technology, fine. Yeah. I get that.
Like, I agree.
The Ewoks in Return of the Jedi. They were using sticks and stuff like that, and they found a way. There are societies that won't have all the technology, even if they're the same race like the humans are, or they say, you're our subjects.
Yeah.
You don't get all the cool shit we have.
They won't even use technology. I would even accept that, where they're like, we don't use that, we have a traditional way.
Yeah, maybe you're space Amish.
Yeah.
Great. Go for it. Be space Amish, too. Make a space quilt, churn some space butter. I'm sure it's great. From those weird horse pachycephalosaur things that they had, which also cool characters.
Real horses
with
silly masks on them.
They look like a pachycephalosaur.
It's my favorite,
dude. I loved it. Some of the, like I said, some of the creature design and some of the aesthetics in this are really good.
Every time they showed those horses, I was like, damn, those things are great.
If that thing was real, there'd be 2 of them in the yard right now. Anyway, so that all makes sense technology wise, but if you're this super advanced Imperium that can travel through the world and do all this space stuff, and these people have wheat that's there. They're growing the wheat. So can't you just be like, oh, we can help you guys. Like, we can help you with this real quick. Like, let me just call, like, sorry, we're going to have to steal your wheat. We're going to get it done in an afternoon. We're going to get a space combine harvester down here. It's going to be done.
I can see that.
If you're in such a push where, like, no, we need it harvested by now, then you go back up into your spaceship to watch these farmers work with hand tools.
My thing was, I'll accept that they're like, well, we do it the old way. It's fine until they had a levitating platform that was there. And all I was thinking was like, just put some blades underneath that thing and let it zoom on by and cut it down. It was like you were actively stopping yourself from having it make sense. And that was what was frustrating. And I don't really like to harp on these types of things, because like their dreadnought is like within the atmosphere, and if it was that close, it would just be pulled back out,
because it would have to constantly use its thrusters to stay above the surface.
Spacefaring,
of course. That's why you have landers.
Yeah, exactly.
Star Wars does that well, where they have like Star Destroyers that'll come down for a little bit, but mostly they stay up top and they send the little shuttles down.
Yeah.
Good job, Star Wars.
You stay in space. You stay out of the atmosphere.
So,
but I'll take it because it's cool, looking cool, and that's the only way that you can get Cora up there.
Yep.
with her cockamamie plan.
Yeah, so she does have a plan. I did have a note in this during that wheat harvesting thing. I said, with all the video game properties that are getting adapted now, Zack Snyder should make Stardew Valley, because he spent a lot of time on harvesting crops and longing slow motion glances between people on a real will they, won't they. I'm like, this could be space Stardew Valley.
Man, it's so
and
crazy.
I'd watch that.
It's so crazy how slow they cut down the grain. It's so crazy that you were like,
it looks pretty, but
it's you can't keep doing it.
Yeah,
it takes it away. It takes away the mystique. There was one time when it was slowed down that it looked fantastic to me, where I was like, great timing.
Cool.
That looked awesome.
Yeah.
It was when she was jumping down on the ship and she was shooting down into the engine room. Mm-hmm. And it slowed down, and it was framed so perfectly, and she had a cool pose. She looked awesome, but the entire battle that they have is in slow motion, and it is like, please.
It's real slow motion.
Yeah.
And so when they're preparing for the final battle, They're digging World War I trenches by hand. Again, you don't have a like something that could do this. And then they use the horse rams to pull Cora's ship out because they're like, oh, we're going to use her abandoned dropship. And that's, we're going to use. And they're like, all right, let's use the horses to pull it out. And then it starts right up. I'm like, why didn't y'all try that first before you get all the horse rams to pull it out? That's a small, minor detail.
I can understand that.
Her plan is there's going to be a distraction. Everyone flips up. Surprise attack. Get them. Knock out the shuttles. Cora's going to take her dropship up to the Dreadnought. Her knowledge of the Imperium and all their tactics and stuff, she's going to take it out.
Yeah.
And at that point, we get to see the return of Jimmy the Robot. Jimmy the Robot is doing full druid cosplay with antlers and stuff like that.
James has been watching this whole time.
He does like it when you call him James.
He's up there and he's watching you, and then you're like, he's going to save the day.
Yeah.
You're just setting it up so that we see a robot that saves the day.
So he does. It's at the turning point in the battle where you think they're having like a little thought where they're like, oh, now I don't want to die. I thought I was willing to die in battle. Now I don't want to die.
That was funny.
And then you think they're going to die. They're doing the spinning around shooty thing. It's slow motion. Jimmy the Robot pops down. Legitimately, I was just like, nice. I'm excited to see, because he was really doing like the Rock movie where he doesn't use guns.
The Getaway, I believe.
Was it?
Yeah. The Rundown.
The Rundown. Yeah, you weren't far off. But then you're like, all right, this guy doesn't want to fight. Or it's like a Roadhouse thing where you're like, hey, I'm not going to fight. And then you're like, all right, when he does start doing this shit, it's going to be fucking awesome. So when Jimmy the Robot does a superhero jump and he comes down, I'm like, hell yeah. Yeah. And it's a great little scene. He's jumping, he's doing flips, he goes into a mech and blows it up, and then he does nothing again.
I do love that the driver of the tank does the same thing as the crane operator in the first movie. Yeah. Where they just have a secret gun down there, and their immediate reaction is just grab that gun and start. Oh, God. I was like, that's a good little callback.
Yeah.
You almost blood axed them.
Almost got the full blood axe treatment. So then Cora goes up on the ship. She ends up destroying the ship. Yes. That's fine. At one point, she gets knocked down from a bridge, and she lands where people are shoveling coal.
Yes. I did really, really enjoy that. It's a coal-powered spaceship.
Yes.
I am so into that.
With
that is
laser
so
cannons.
Funny.
Yes.
That's so awesome. That's
so
the
much
coolest
coal.
idea. So I would give them everything on that.
So you like the coal-powered spaceship?
I really, really do, because coal is such a... It's such a specific type of energy source.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The worst.
Yes, it's the worst
guy.
So the worst people are using the worst type of energy source.
The space Nazis are using space coal.
That's just good. That's really good.
Yeah.
You didn't bring up that the engine that she goes to is a big old head.
It is a head.
And you think, wow, I was like, that looks really cool, actually. That looks like a big old head. And she puts about 8 bombs on it, which comically, when they're down there, like looking around, you hear the beep, and a soldier turns around, and it's like eye level to him. There's a bunch of bombs. You're like, uh-oh.
This is not going to work.
But why does it has eyes that actually open and look at her?
Yeah, it's weird.
And she's looking at it. She's like sad.
Technology's weird.
So I guess it's like alive.
Yeah. The ship's alive, but powered by coal.
But
and it also has all the stuff on there to basically bring a man back to life, which is what they do to Noble.
Yeah. They bring him back to life.
But they can't figure out how to get food. It's like...
I don't know.
You figure they figure that stuff out before you go faring into space is how we're going to eat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we freeze-dried the food on Earth before we send it up to the International Space Station to make sure they have stuff to eat up there.
Did you know that is a fallacy?
Is it?
Yeah, they don't eat freeze-dried food. It's too powdery. You'd get in the instruments. They eat mostly pastes.
Oh. Well, still, we make the paste on Earth. We don't send them to the moon.
We do.
Say, figure it out. I hope there are some moon Vikings that are doing moon wheat, and you can threaten them to harvest it all by hand so you can make it back to Earth.
Yeah.
It's not a good way to run an Imperium, is what I'm trying to say.
An hour and a half into this movie.
Of a 2-hour movie.
When I looked over to my friend, my roommate, and I told him, the Seven Samurai did all of this in one movie, and they made you care about Seven Samurai, like, pretty quickly.
Yes.
This movie just does not get it.
Another note I have. Cora's dropship is just Night Owl's ship from Watchmen.
Yeah?
It moves the exact same way from Zack Snyder's
Okay.
Watchmen.
I'll take
that
it.
Night Owl's main ship that he's moving around. I'm like,
Yeah.
which I love. I think Watchmen's a great movie.
The hinge thrusters.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fun. And so I'm going to give this movie a recommendation. I got to say, it's a 1.
Yeah, it's a 1.
It's not a very...
It's worse than the first one.
I think it might be.
When you shouldn't have all the baggage of introducing the characters.
Yep.
He still has the baggage of introducing the characters.
Yeah.
And he still did a bad job of introducing the characters.
So it's like
I thought her name was Silius the whole time. It's Milius.
So like in Empire Strikes Back, there's like a little bit of backstory where they remind you who everyone is in case you didn't see the first one. And it's like Han Solo's like, hey, I got to get out of here. Jabba the Hutt's looking for me. I got a price on my head. And then the guy's like, sad to see you go, Solo. You're a hell of a fighter.
Yeah.
And like, cool, got it.
Yeah.
He calls her princess. Got it. Mm-hmm. This one, like I said, they literally had to have a sit-around conversation about who everyone was.
Yeah. You see Han Solo, you go, hey, Han Solo, what are you doing? He's like, I got to go do some fun adventure stuff. And you're like, great, I hope we get to follow you.
Yeah.
Instead, you're like, this guy is the guy.
Yeah.
He wore a funny hat when his mom died.
Yeah. So it ends with almost kind of a setup for a third one. I don't know if it'll happen. I think between these two...
Happen. I'm pretty sure he already signed on for 3.
I think... But that doesn't... If you sign on for 3, that doesn't mean that they're going to make 3. That just means you're contracted to make 3 if they request it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it ends with them setting it up, and there's like a little funeral and stuff like that. And the main thing that they're saying is Digimon Hansu's like saying, we're grieving our dead, and they have like, their little pyres set up. And their whole thing, I started laughing while I was watching it, because he's like, we will remember their names. Their names will not be forgotten. And I'm like, I can't name most of these people.
I got Nemesis.
Okay, no, I'm going to play a little game with you. People, tell me if you can remember their names. Played by Digimon Hansu, former general.
Yeah. General Atlian.
Titus.
Damn it, that wasn't even close.
You got Dunabe, Nemesis.
Yeah.
Darien Bloodaxe's sister, who comes to the rescue at the end.
Blood Axe girl.
What's her first name?
Girl?
Mrs. Bloodaxe. Devra.
She's got a first name?
Yeah, Devra Bloodaxe. They say on the thing, oh, it's Devra Bloodaxe in the Resistance. That's how I know. Nobleman turned blacksmith with the ability to bond with animals. One of the fighters.
Oh, this was the guy that rode the bird.
Remember their names, Jacob.
This guy from the first movie.
He tells us at the end, remember their names.
His moment in the first movie was when I was like, I think I'm going to turn this off and tell Taylor I can't do this.
When he's riding the Griffin?
He's riding the Griffin.
And in his flashback story, those Griffins were fighting spaceships. Above his space metropolis.
And a Griffin was there at his wedding. No, at his father's funeral.
Yeah. What was his name?
Never Cry No More. Never Cry No More.
Tarek.
Derek?
Tarek. Like Turok, kinda.
Dinosaur Hunter?
Kinda.
I'd watch that movie.
And finally, Korra's love interest. The man who dies, sacrifices
Bradley
himself.
Cooper type.
He also played the same role that Ed Skrein played in Game of Thrones. We talked about that last time. What was his name?
Bradley Cooper type.
She screams it while he's dying in her arms.
Mama?
Gunnar.
Gunnar? Oh. Gunnar.
This is what made me think of this. I started thinking about this right during the last battle, which is why I wanted to look up their names, and then I started laughing at the end when they're saying remember their names.
Yeah.
Because the whole problem with this is these characters are so forgettable. You have no attachment to any of them.
They had a part where they're giving everybody tapestries.
So right before Digimon Hansu leads the final charge, or leads the charge, when he has his Aragorn in Helm's Deep moment, where he's like, let's ride out to meet them.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to be like, Theoden's like,
I was waiting for it,
ruin, and you're just like, yes, let's go. Mm-hmm. Digimon Hansu yells his rallying cry. Mm-hmm. He yells, for Sindri. Who is Sindri?
For Sindri.
Who's Sindri, Jake?
She.
Nope.
Dang it.
Wrong already.
So it's Blood Axe?
No.
Dang it.
His name's Darien. That's my whole point. It's a close shot of one of the most famous, probably the most famous actor in this is Digimon Hansu.
Yeah.
If you don't count Anthony Hopkins. He's leading his charge. It's his Helm's Deep moment. And they say, all right, now I want you to yell for Sindri, and then we all charge out. And Hansu on the day has to be like, who's Sindri? Who's Sindri, Jake?
Was he she?
No.
Damn it. He was one of the ones that died.
That's why they're avenging him. Of course he's one of the ones who died. That's not an answer. He was played by Corey Stoll in the first one. He had the big beard, and he was the leader of the village. That they kill ahead of time.
Oh, how did Titus know about that?
Exactly. How did Titus know about that?
Titus really loved this village.
He did.
When he started there.
He sobered up and fought for these people.
And Nemesis loved that Dennis the Menace character.
He did look like that was a little horrible boy.
It was so distracting how much that kid looked like Dennis the Menace.
We will never remember these people's names.
That kid looked like the Family Circus kid.
You expect there to be like a dotted line behind him whenever he goes anywhere.
I expect him to call it the Winter Net.
It was so funny. I would let it all slide, and I wouldn't have been so critical like I was in the past 5 minutes if it didn't end with the big thing of remember their names.
Yeah.
We won't. No one will. And nothing against Zack Snyder. He's in every interview. He seems like a nice guy.
He seems like a nice guy.
He seems like he just likes to make movies.
I saw a clip where from a comedian who was doing crowd work, and he's like, "What's your name?" And he's like, "Zach." And he's like, "You never really meet an old person named Zach." And he's like, "So what's your real name?" He's like, "Zack Snyder." And he's like, "No, you're kidding me." He's like, "No, I'm not." And then there's a picture of him, the comedian, with Zack Snyder at the end. He's like, "He's a really good guy."
Yeah, he seems like it.
He seems like a nice fellow.
Yeah, and I hope he keeps making more things. But this was not it.
I would be ecstatic for him and his fans if he kept making movies. I have people to know that.
I don't know how many of his fans are
just not going to watch them. Is the thing.
If they come on Netflix,
enjoy it.
If they come on Netflix, I might watch it again.
If somebody says this one's actually one of his best works, I am somebody who actually enjoyed Pain and Gain.
It's really going to take someone to be like, "Hey, no, this is the one to check out."
I agree.
Yeah.
But it was just he doesn't have the juice.
He doesn't have that Conan O'Brien magnetism where you can just make something work.
Yeah.
Because some of Conan's situations he even brings up in his show, he's like, I had nothing here, but he makes something happen.
Yeah.
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you, Zack Snyder. Like, he took a big swing with these 2 movies. They didn't turn out great, but keep making more stuff, man.
I am at no point am I upset with Zack Snyder.
No.
I have to say.
It's
incredible. No. Always.
Yeah.
That somebody made a movie. Always incredible.
Incredible. And some of it was really cool. Some of the guns were really cool.
There were
the melty
moments
swords were really cool.
That were, very enjoyable.
I thought the mechs were cool, even though they produced like steam, or they were like coal powered too. Like the mechs had exhaust, but nothing else did.
I don't know what happened to me, but I lost my mind laughing at the moment when the tank's coming up and the barn doors open. And it's just 2 old guys with big guns shooting. I had to stop watching for a sec.
Yeah.
That is such a funny shot.
It's very silly.
They're covered in sacks of flowers. It looked so good.
Yeah. And at the end, after they protect the log house, they're like, no, we'll just blow it up.
Yeah.
Fuck it, just blow it up.
Oh, but I don't think I have the steam for a third one.
No. We'll do our best.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. If you made it this far, if you want to get in touch with the show, you can send in your recommendations or your thoughts on anything that we've talked about to upyouralleypod@gmail.com. Let's get into what we're going to be talking about next week. Jake, you want to go first? Or you want me to?
I got you.
What do you got for me, buddy boy?
You to do. I want you to do more music.
Music? All right. What do we got? Is this available on Spotify?
Yes, it is.
Nice.
It is just an EP, actually.
I started typing in there was a person named Justin EP.
There's Justin EP. He sings a song called This Is Actually a Record. No. That's a good joke. So it's
that was the worst joke. It made me laugh though. It made me laugh though.
It's somebody gave us a 3 already, but he's got a new EP out. It's Mr. Jeffrey Lewis. Has an EP called The Great Gatsby.
Really?
Yep. And I think 2 songs on there are miraculous.
Really?
Yep. And I hope you enjoy them.
So we did Jeffrey Lewis.
We did Jeffrey Lewis in the Junkyard
Right.
MRI a long time ago.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
And you gave it 3.
I did like this. Okay, so he's got wow.
He's got himself some new music
quick
out.
little EP, 20 minutes. Yeah, that just came out. Oh, I definitely want to check that out.
Yep.
So Jeffrey Lewis, Great Gatsby, available on Spotify. I'm going to do that. Jake, for you, I have kind of a weird hybrid rec for you.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's a video game, but there's more I want you to do with this video game.
That's interesting.
I texted you earlier today and said, without Googling, do you know anything about who Trevor Rainbolt is?
Yeah.
Do you know? And you said you don't know who Trevor Rainbolt is.
It feels like it should ring a bell, but it's not ringing a bell.
He was in Rebel Moon Part 2, Scargiver. He was one of the characters.
You're not?
No, he wasn't.
Oh,
that was a
gosh.
joke, though. But gotcha. There was
I was like, you're not giving me a video game.
There was a real look of nervous there. You're like, was Trevor Rainbolt one of Blood Axe's people?
I was going to go, like, I can't do a video game of this.
So Trevor Rainbolt is a media personality and a professional gamer. He's actually one of the hosts currently of the World Cup, the World Championships of a certain game. That game is what I actually want to recommend. It's a browser game. You're going to have to pay $4.99 for a month of it. It's GeoGuessr.
Okay.
Are you familiar with GeoGuessr?
Yes, absolutely.
So if you don't know, GeoGuessr is it's a web-based game. It's based on Google Earth. Basically, they sit you down with a random street view of Google Earth, and you try to click on the map where you think it is, using context clues, everything like that. I've gone down a rabbit hole recently, and there's a YouTube video that I'll send you a link to that really, I want you to watch this before you play any GeoGuessr.
Oh, I know who Rainbolt is.
Yeah,
I've seen a couple of his...
Good-looking kid. You'll see him on TikTok or Instagram.
I've seen
he's
a couple
got like
of his TikToks.
Floppy hair, and he just sees a road, and he's like, that's Austria.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've seen those videos.
So he's the guy that got me into this. The YouTube channel is Geography Challenges, and it's just called The History of GeoGuessr.
Okay.
It's like a 35-minute video. Right. And that kind of gives you kind of a rundown of the history of the game and how it evolved and everything like that and where it is now. Watch that, and then this community, this geoguessing community, is fascinating to me. And I was like, I wonder if I could start playing this game. And the way the game's set up now, it does have ways to bring in where it's like there's categories that are like famous places. You see a place that's like, oh, that's the statue of Christ the Redeemer in Rio de Janeiro, and you know where that is, and you can kind of find it, and it gets you into it. But it progressively gets harder and harder.
Okay.
One of the best things I've done recently.
Cool.
It's a new, to quote your old podcast, it's a new current obsession of mine.
I am terrible at directions.
I know.
And this is kind of...
I was thinking about it when we were in DC the other night.
Makes me a little anxious, yeah.
Do you remember when we were walking around DC and you brought up, you're like, I think I went to a punk show at this bar.
Yes.
And it was not that.
No.
It was a different place.
I went to a blue building once.
That was the story, is I went to a blue building in Washington, D.C. once.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that.
I can't even tell you that it was in Washington, D.C. with straight confidence.
So that's what I was kind of thinking about when we were walking around, because we had to walk like a little over half a mile to get to the venue from the metro stop. And I was pulling out my phone to look where it was.
Yeah.
And, it was just fun. And I was like, oh, fucking Rainbolt. Like, I was thinking this in my head while we were walking around. I was like, if I took a picture of this, sent it to Rainbolt, would he be like, you're at a seafood restaurant, Northwest Washington, D.C. Nice. And they just have everything down. So, Trevor Rainbolt, GeoGuessr is the game. The history of GeoGuessr on Geography Challenges is the YouTube video. Just kind of...
All right.
I just want you to, kind of roll around in the mud of the GeoGuessr world.
Okay.
For a little bit.
Sounds fun.
So, I'm going to do that.
This approach.
And we're going to listen to Jeffrey Lewis. We're going to play some GeoGuessr. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the show. Thank you to Jimmy Johnny for doing all of our promo art. Thank you to our buddy's brother Bill for giving us the music. Jake, thanks for coming over. Love you, buddy.
I love you, buddy.
Bye.